Let's talk about the Pacific Northwest Portland Thorns. They finished at the top of the table last year in the NWSL, and then they went on throughout the postseason. And ultimately, they did not make it very far. They lost in the semifinals. They were the number 2 team after winning the championship just 2 seasons ago. They have some key players that have joined them, but honestly, a number of players lost them. Some of the biggest ones, Crystal Junn, Rocky Rodriguez, Emily Menguez, all players that have left and are no longer at Portland. But this is a franchise that wants to win, Darian. They want to be at the top of the table. What's it going to take for Portland to do that again this year?
Well, I think that they've made up for the players that they lost. I think the huge signing for me is Jess Fleming. Just let me read this midfield for you for Portland. I had to pull up the roster. Sam Coffey, Olivia Moultrie, Hina Sagita, Jess Fleming, Olivia Wade-Katoa, Gabia Provenzano, Katie Duong. That is who's going to play? How many players? Is it just going to be all midfielders playing at the same time? I think that is such a stacked midfield. And then you look at their front line. Janine Becky is back and healthy. Sophia Smith, Morgan Weaver, Christine Sinclair. I think the team's going to be okay. We're going to see a similar style of play. I think these players feel very refreshed, especially with coaching change, better investment. That, from what I'm hearing, it's much more positive. Players actually have a good outlook on coming into the season, where maybe before it was kind of dreading it because of the lack of change that they've seen. So I'm excited for this team. I think the players feel very motivated. They have a stacked roster. It's going to be interesting to see how, are they going to play in Portland's same style, or are they going to make adjustments because of all of the personnel that they have? But Portland's for sure going to be in my top 8. I'll tell you that already, just by looking at this. I don't know how they're going to play, but I know that they're going to be good. And I think Sophia Smith is going to be hungry to come back. She obviously got that goal. We saw how much it meant to her in scoring her penalty. And I think that kind of reset her confidence coming into this season. So what a way to start going into the NWSL season opener this weekend, with 2 goals with the national team and just good motivation for her. So I think she finds her groove in the NWSL. She comes out and makes scoring goals look easy. And now she has a midfield that I think is going to feed her. Jess Fleming, I've had the honor of playing with her. She has such great vision. And even, her leadership with Canada, over watching her in the W Gold Cup, I thought it was fun to see her thread balls through a little bit more. She was taking shots from distance. Her combination play has improved. She just looks braver on the ball. Like, she has a little bit more freedom. And I hope we see that in Portland. And with this front line, it's going to be a scary season to go up against them. It usually is, but I think even more so right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in agreement with you, Darian. I don't know if, we're looking at teams as a whole and saying, like, who's going to probably make their way back to the postseason. It's likely going to be this Portland Thorns side. I mean, if nothing else, if folks are still kind of like, look at all the things that they lost along the way, that deep bench that we were talking about so much last year is going to just sort of kind of sustain them, I think, into this 2024 season. I know that there was some question marks around veterans and their return in the free agency period. Well, if Becky Sauerbrunn was going to come back, if Christine Sinclair was going to come back, what was that going to look like? Looked like everybody agreed to some kind of 1-year deals. Like, let's make it all last while we've got it in place. And honestly, look, I would actually include Sophia Smith as part of that equation as well. This is the player that has not signed a new contract or an extension with this Portland Thorns side. And I'm sorry, if you have the 2-time Golden Boot winner and that extension or new contract has not been signed already, I don't know if that's happening in this season. They could say that they're having ongoing conversations with her all they want. I will be shocked if that ends up being the case for Sophia Smith. So I think maybe
write it down, Sandra, with the bold prediction.
We're going to do it anyway.
We're going to do
it anyway. So I just think that there is something here for this Portland Thorns team to remain motivated. This is just a long-winded way of me saying that they're going to go out there and make sure that every minute counts for this team, because we know that at this point, when it comes to NWSL, when it comes to year in, year out, the team that you're with, that you're taking the pitch on match day 1 might not even be the same on your final match day, let alone the following season. And I don't think the Portland Thorns are going to be the exception to that case. And so I like all of the pieces that they have, the players that have been with this franchise for an extended amount of time, and the new players that they came. I'm thrilled about the Jesse Fleming signing. It's probably one of my most favorite of the offseason. And I just think that with that much juice in your midfield, knowing that you've got those beasts in front in the attack, it's going to be scary, and people should be scared of the Portland Thorns, especially if Sophia Smith and Jesse Fleming are on the pitch at the same time.
One of the things about Portland over the last several years is that they bring in young players and they really try to develop them. It's not, you're not getting a starting spot unless you're a superstar, but you're just not, because of how much talent is ahead of you. So I've been waiting for really big minutes from some of these players that we saw get drafted a couple years ago, like Reina Reyes. She kind of had a breakout season last year. I want her to be a go-to in the back line for this Portland side. Izzy Diakia, I want her to be a player that is fighting for a starting spot in the front line and going up against Weaver. I want some of these players to take the next step. And that is pretty much an impossible ask when the players ahead of you are Christine Sinclair, Sophia Smith, Hina Sugita even. Like, that is a very tall task to have, but that's what's going to make this Portland side great. If all of these other players are pushing for starting spots and pushing the players that are in those starting spots, kind of giving them elbows in the back and saying, no, I'm coming for you, because it's only going to push them and make them that much better. During the draft, Peyton Linehan, Katie DeWong, these are players that Portland got that I'm excited about. I'm really excited about Katie DeWong in that midfield. I don't think we'll see her in maybe the first few weeks, just a couple minutes here or there as she tries to get her footing, but out of Stanford, a product that is really comfortable with the ball at her feet. And that's what Portland goes to. They want players like that. So I want this to be a moment for Portland to kind of develop a little bit more. They had their new head coach, Mike Norris, last year stepping in. Can they also take that next step, right? And make it a little bit farther, get back to the championship, because it's a winning caliber club and they didn't make it there last year to the championship. They lost in the semifinal, but they have a lot of good pieces. It's definitely scary, the depth that Portland has and every which way that they want to continue to attack you, and their versatility in the front line. It is going to be dangerous to watch them. And everyone gets their first taste of the Thorns on Saturday of opening weekend. They'll take on Kansas City Current. That's a kickoff at 1:00 Eastern time. And that match is happening in Kansas City at the brand new Women's Purpose Stadium. So definitely a lot of emotions and big things happening around it